the reason we're here today. This trade deal is very problematic to say the least. We've got a couple people here today to speak on this issue, and then we plan on making a little march down the Fort Washington Way and displaying some signage to help educate the public about the issue. So Ian, Allison, either one of you want to come up?
Who knows about the Trans-Pacific Partnership? Who already knows about it? Who knows what the World Trade Organization is?
I forget.
Some people, okay. So basically the World Trade Organization was a worldwide organization set up to regulate free trade all over the world. And it's not quite working anymore. So like one of the last things that the World Trade Organization did was good actually for consumers. We have labeling across the world, and here in the United States it's called country of origin labeling for like our meats. Here in the United States they go over to like somewhere like China to be processed in ways that compromise our food safety, and then they come over here to be sold. And so country of origin labeling at least lets consumers know that that's what's happening. And the companies, like the big agribusiness companies like Smithfield and Tyson, wanted to do away with country of origin labeling, and the World Trade Organization actually stood up to them. And so the World Trade Organization is not quite working as well for corporations as it used to, and so they need a new deal. And since about 2008, they've been negotiating the Trans-Pacific Partnership with about 8 countries along to have a massive free trade. The thing that is really, really scary about this, so do people know the difference between free trade and fair trade? Free trade, basically a really, really good way to look at it is free trade serves corporations and fair trade serves the people and the producers. So if we want a new trade agreement that is fair to consumers and is fair to farmers and people who are manufacturing goods and doing the labor to manufacture those goods, we want fair trade and not free trade. Free trade is something that it just like takes all the roadblocks out of the way, including food safety and all kinds of different things for corporations to freely be able to trade back. Of course, a huge corporation, if they need labor and they've got this free trade agreement, they're going to go get labor where they can get the cheapest labor, right? And so how can companies that are trying to do things fairly compete with that? They can't compete with it. Anyway, this has been something that has been negotiated in secret for the last 4 or 5 years or so. Then the only way that we know anything about them is that we know what free trade agreements generally look like and what are generally the problems with free trade agreements, but through places like WikiLeaks and some of the corporate advisors that have been negotiating the TPP and don't like what's happening in behind closed doors, are leaking out some information about it. Some legislators have seen some bits and pieces of the text of it, but for the most part, this is something that's happening in secret. And the Obama administration right now wants to get something that is called fast track. It's one of the things that was used in the Nixon era, and it's been used to negotiate free trade deals. We talked to Steve Shabbat, our representative here not too long ago, and he actually said, you know, the problem with doing it through Congress is that you're never going to get an agreement. And I'm going, well, doesn't that tell you something? Like, if you have to do this kind of thing in secret, then isn't there a huge problem with it? If you can't do it through a democratic process, then maybe we shouldn't have it at all, right? What is really, really important is that the Obama administration does not get the ability to negotiate this, to get fast track, to be able to negotiate this in private. Because what that would mean is that there is no input from our elected officials. There is no democratic process. That it's something that Obama negotiates in secret, and Congress is just going to get an up or down vote on it. And probably at that point, it will be an up vote and it will go through. So fast track is really our opportunity right now to stop this. Not only are there 8 countries in it now, but what we've heard is that the way that it's being written is that once it is negotiated and it is passed, any country can join it. So we're talking about something that could potentially be every country in the world that wants to join. And that will be a huge, huge problem, especially if we get countries like China in it for our food safety. If, say, for example, a company like Total, who invests in oil and gas drilling and in mineral rights all over our country, particularly here in Ohio. So say this company, it's a French company, so say this company, Total, is part of this, they can use this trade agreement to be able to do drilling and fracking in our country. And they can export it to France or to China or wherever they get their highest dollar for it. Say, for example, here in Ohio, somewhere where they have leased mineral rights to be able to do it, and that municipality passes a ban on fracking and says you can't do that in our community. An agreement like the Trans-Pacific Partnership would allow a company to sue that municipality that's not even an American company and say, you took our ability, it's called takings, it's a legal concept of takings, you took our ability to be able to exploit what we've bought here. And under this trade agreement, we're allowed to do that so that that trade agreement actually usurps our own local laws and our own local community's authority to decide what we want and we don't want in our communities. So that's the kind of danger that we're talking about. Amazingly daunting, right? Because it's like the New World Order or something. It's crazy. It's just crazy. say no. No.
Yeah, but that's not part of the song.
Boom.